So, for my garbage person of the week, we turn to someone who you might not have been thinking about for this, but I am going to bring up this person, Larry Summers. Wait, Larry Summers? I mean, he hasn't been involved with coronavirus lately and all that stuff, so why is he being balled up? Why is he being thrown in the trash? Well, he's not necessarily the garbage person of the week for stuff that he did just this week, although he is in the news this week, and that is because he is providing economic advice and analysis for Joe Biden. And so, if Joe Biden ends up winning, Larry Summers might end up being a part of his administration. And look, we've done in the past on TYT for years and years and years has done analysis of Larry Summers and all the bad things he's done and thus what he would represent coming back into the administration. I'm just going to jump through a couple of the initial issues that you should have with Larry Summers. So one is, Summers was the first name on the Biden do not reappoint list published last month by the American Prospect's Robert Kuttner, who wrote that Summers in 2009, quote, not only lowballed the necessary economic stimulus and ended it prematurely, but he successfully fought for rescuing the biggest banks rather than taking them into temporary receivership. We went back and found Naomi Klein. She had written in 2009 an article for Washington Post titled "Why We Should Banish Larry Summers from Public Life." You should go read it. I'm just going to read one bit from it. She said, "He has been spectacularly wrong again and again. He was wrong about not regulating derivatives, wrong when he helped kill Depression-era banking laws, turning banks into too-big-to-fail welfare monsters, and as he helps devise ever more complex tricks and spends ever more taxpayer dollars to keep the financial casino running, he remains wrong today." Let's also not forget, hey, here's a picture of Larry Summers currently advising the Biden campaign at Jeffrey Epstein's residence in 2011, 3 years after Epstein was convicted of raping children. Now, he's not the only famous person there. See if you can spot another one. But anyway, Larry Summers,
Really?
one of the many people hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. But Jeffrey Epstein's issues do go back a long way, but so do Larry Summers. So I want to take you back to let's see. Oh, here's a random quote. "One of the reasons that inequality has probably gone up in our society is that people are being treated closer to the way that they're supposed to be treated." There's a guy with some empathy that's advising potentially the next president. Back in 1991, he had this memo. Now, I know that you can't read that. It is about the economic incentives to dump toxic waste in Africa and other less developed countries around the world. Not going to read the entire thing for you, but here's a nice little tidbit. The economic logic behind dumping a load of toxic waste, that's his wording, a load of toxic waste in the lowest wage country is impeccable. I've always thought that underpopulated countries in Africa are vastly underpolluted. Only the lamentable facts that so much pollution is generated by non-tradable industries and that the unit transport costs of solid waste are so high prevent world welfare-enhancing trade in air pollution and waste. So the lamentable fact is it's just too costly to take all of our toxic waste and dump it in Africa, a place that I consider to be underpolluted. That's Larry Summers, who has been wrong and awful and awfully wrong and wrong in the ways that he's awful for decade after decade after decade. He has had more articles written banishing him than anyone else I've seen, and he's advising Joe Biden right now. So he's a garbage person right now. He's a garbage person yesterday and last year, and he looks like he's going to continue to be a garbage person in a position of power if Joe Biden wins.
That's a great one. I hadn't seen that thing, but like everything about that is everything wrong with what like an economist or a self-professed like economic actor needs to go through in order to arrive at the solution that like you probably should just dump your waste on Africa. Like why I wish you hadn't shown your work. I wish you just would have said I don't need to do it.
No, I read 2 sentences. It's all over the place. Like, you can find more if you want. And so, look, thankfully, there are good people who are responding quickly to this. The Justice Democrats and Sunrise Movement are calling for Biden to remove Larry Summers as an economic advisor. I don't know if there's already a hashtag, so I'm going to suggest hashtag ban Larry Summers. I would love to see that trending. And I know that this isn't the sexiest pick or whatever, but I'm really worried that this is the sort of news that's going to sort of slip through the cracks. But he is exactly the sort of person that should be nowhere near a future Democratic administration. Now, that was my pick, and you had Brett's pick, but we also polled all of you, as we always do, on the community tab of the Damage Report channel. We gave you possible garbage people after getting suggestions from you on Twitter. You all chose Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman, got 55% of the vote. That's with nearly 4,000 votes there. Brian Kemp was a runner-up. You also see a good bit for Ron DeSantis there. And look, it's not a perfect segment because she would have probably been my pick if we hadn't already done an exhaustive thing about her yesterday. So
yeah, I always kind of go through the TDR YouTube page to see like if I missed something that you did.
I know, and that's why I want to have a time when we're done with our picks to acknowledge other, like, she's the perfect sort of person for garbage people. She just happened to be awful on Wednesday night rather than Thursday night.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.